At a rooftop birthday party, her cousin asked when she'd finally marry me. She rolled her eyes and replied loudly, "Marry him? I'm just killing time." The laughter stopped when I said, "Thanks for clarifying," placed the engagement ring box on the cake table, and left without another word. I, 28, male, had been with Emma, 26, for 2 years and 3 months. I thought we were building toward forever. At her cousin Maya's rooftop birthday party last Saturday night, I stood with an engagement ring in my jacket pocket, waiting for the right moment to change both our lives. I was wrong about which life was about to change. Maya raised her champagne glass at 9:47 p.m., smiled at Emma, and asked the question I'd been hoping someone would ask. "So when are you finally going to marry this guy? He's been around forever." The rooftop went quiet for half a second. Then Emma rolled her eyes, looked directly at me, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Marry him? I'm just killing time." The crowd laughed, nervous at first, then louder when they saw her grinning like she'd landed a perfect punchline. I felt the ring box burning a hole through my pocket. My chest went cold. My hands went numb. But my head went completely clear. I didn't argue. I didn't ask her to explain. I walked to the cake table, pulled the Tiffany box from my pocket, placed it next to the champagne bottles, and said 5 words. "Thanks for clarifying that, Emma." Then I turned and walked to the elevator. The laughter stopped before I reached the doors. By the time I hit the lobby, my phone was already lighting up. But I didn't look. I just kept walking. That rooftop moment lasted maybe 90 seconds. The fallout would last months. 2 years earlier, I met Emma at a mutual friend's gallery opening in Brooklyn. She worked in event planning. I was a software project manager at a mid-sized fintech startup. She was sharp, funny, social in a way I wasn't. I liked that she pulled me into rooms I wouldn't have entered on my own. Our first year felt solid. We split rent on a place in Astoria. She introduced me to her family at Thanksgiving. I introduced her to mine at Christmas. Her mother loved me. My parents thought she was great. Everything looked like it was going somewhere. But looking back now, the red flags were there. I just didn't want to see them. She never posted us together on social media. When I asked about it, she said she liked keeping her relationship private. I respected that. I didn't need public validation. Except now I realized she wasn't keeping us private. She was keeping me hidden. She'd introduce me to people at parties as my friend, or "This is Alex." Never boyfriend. Never partner. Just Alex. I told myself it didn't matter. Words were just words. Except words are how people know where they stand. 6 months ago, I started thinking about proposing. We'd talked about marriage in vague terms. She'd say things like, "someday," and "when we're ready." I took that as a yes and waiting. I started saving for a ring. I asked her best friend, Jenna, for advice in May. Jenna seemed surprised when I brought it up. She asked me if Emma had said she wanted to get engaged. I said we talked about it. Jenna nodded slowly and said, "Just make sure you're both on the same page." I thought we were. I was an idiot. I bought the ring 3 weeks ago. Classic solitaire, 1.2 carats, platinum band. It cost me $8,000. I picked it up from the jeweler on a Tuesday afternoon and carried it home like I was smuggling state secrets. I hid it in the back of my closet inside a box of old tax documents. Emma never went in there. I planned to propose at Maya's birthday party because Emma had mentioned how much she loved that rooftop venue. She said it would be perfect for something special someday. I thought that someday was this Saturday. I was wrong. But at least I found out before I got down on one knee in front of 50 people. At least I found out before I signed paperwork or said vows or wasted another 2 years waiting for someday to arrive. The morning of the party, Emma seemed normal. We had coffee. She curled her hair. I ironed my shirt. She asked me if I was excited for tonight. I said I was. She smiled and kissed my cheek and said, "It's going to be fun." Fun. That was the word she used. Not meaningful. Not special. Just fun. I should have caught that. I didn't. We took an Uber to the venue at 7:30 p.m. The party was supposed to start at 8 o'clock. Emma spent the ride checking her phone and laughing at messages I couldn't see. I asked her what was funny. She said, "Just Maya being Maya." When we walked onto the rooftop, the city skyline was glowing behind us. String lights hung overhead. A bartender was setting up near the far corner. About 30 people were already there. Maya ran over, hugged Emma, hugged me, thanked us for coming early. I felt the ring box in my jacket. My heart was pounding. I was planning to wait until after dinner, maybe during toasts. I wanted it to feel organic, not staged. I wanted her to feel surprised, but not ambushed. Then Maya asked the question. Maya raised her glass at 9:47 p.m. I know the exact time because I checked my watch right before she spoke. I was thinking about timing. I was thinking about when to pull Emma aside. I was thinking about how to make the moment perfect. Maya's voice cut through the music. Emma, serious question. When are you finally going to marry this guy? The rooftop went quiet. I felt every eye turn toward us. My hand moved toward my jacket pocket. This wasn't how I'd planned it, but maybe this was the moment. Maybe this was the universe giving me a green light. Then Emma rolled her eyes. Not a small eye roll. Not a playful one. A full theatrical rotation, head tilted back, exaggerated and deliberate. She looked at me like I was a piece of furniture someone kept asking her to rearrange. Marry him, she said. Her voice was loud. Too loud. Like she wanted to make sure everyone heard. I'm just killing time. The words landed like a slap. My hand froze halfway to my pocket. The rooftop stayed quiet for 1 second. Then 2. Then someone laughed. I don't know who. But the laugh broke the seal. 3 more people laughed. Then 5. Then the whole crowd. Emma grinned. She thought she'd told a joke. She thought the punchline was me. I looked at her face. She wasn't looking at me. She was looking at the crowd, feeding off their reaction, enjoying the attention. This wasn't a slip of the tongue. This wasn't nervousness or bad phrasing. This was exactly what she meant. My chest felt hollow. My throat closed. But my mind went sharp and cold. I'd spent $8,000 on a ring for someone who thought I was disposable. I'd spent 2 years planning a future with someone who was planning an exit. I didn't argue. Arguments require 2 people who care about the outcome. I didn't yell. Yelling gives power to the person who hurt you. I didn't ask her to explain. Explanations are for people who deserve second chances. I walked to the cake table. The ring box was small, navy blue, unmistakable. I pulled it from my pocket and set it down next to the champagne bottles. The Tiffany logo faced the crowd. The laughter stopped. I looked at Emma. Her smile was gone. Her face had gone pale. I said, "Thanks for clarifying that, Emma." Then I turned and walked to the elevator. My legs felt numb. My hands were shaking. But I kept my face blank. I didn't give her tears. I didn't give her drama. I just left. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside. I pressed the button for the lobby. The last thing I saw before the doors closed was Emma's face, frozen in shock, and Maya's hand covering her mouth. My phone started buzzing before I reached the ground floor. I didn't look at it. I walked out of the building, turned left, and kept walking. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I wasn't going back. 3 blocks later, I stopped at a bench and finally checked my phone. 22 messages. 17 from Emma. 3 from Jenna. 2 from Maya. Emma's texts were frantic. "Alex, where are you? Alex, please come back." I didn't mean it like that. "Alex, please." Jenna's text said, "I'm so sorry. I should have told you." Maya's text said, "I had no idea. I'm so sorry." I turned my phone off. I sat on that bench for 20 minutes. The city moved around me. Cars honked. People walked past. Nobody noticed the guy whose life just imploded on a rooftop. But here's the thing. My life didn't implode. Emma's did. Because I had the ring. I had the receipt. I had 2 years of messages and plans and evidence that I was serious. And she had a room full of witnesses who just watched her call me a waste of time. I wasn't the one who needed to explain anything. She was. Update 1. I walked home. It took 40 minutes. Emma tried calling me 9 times during those 40 minutes. I didn't answer. When I got to our apartment, I unlocked the door, went to the bedroom, and pulled my suitcase from the closet. I packed clothes, toiletries, laptop, chargers, everything I'd need for a week. I didn't take everything, just enough to make a point. I was gone before Emma got back. I went to my friend Ryan's place in Williamsburg. He opened the door at 11:30 p.m., took one look at my face, and said, "What happened?" I told him everything. He didn't interrupt. When I finished, he said 3 words. "You did right." Then he handed me a beer and showed me to his guest room. I crashed on his bed fully clothed. I didn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling and replayed the rooftop over and over. My phone was still off. I turned it on at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. 63 messages. 41 from Emma. The rest from friends, family, people who'd been at the party. Emma's messages had evolved. The first 20 were apologies. "I'm so sorry. I didn't mean it. Please come home." The next 10 were explanations. I was drunk. I was trying to be funny. Everyone was laughing, so I just went with it. The last 11 were angry. "You embarrassed me. You made a scene. You left me there like an idiot. Everyone thinks I'm a monster now. I read every message. Then I deleted the thread and blocked her number. Jenna called at 8:15 a.m. I answered. She said, Alex, I need to tell you something. I said, go ahead. She took a breath. Emma's been saying for months that you're not the one. She told me in April that she was staying with you until she figured out what she wanted. She said you were safe and stable, but not exciting. I should have told you. I'm sorry. I felt my stomach drop. April. That was a month before I started ring shopping. That was 2 months before I asked Jenna for proposal advice. She knew. She knew Emma wasn't serious, and she let me keep planning. I said, why didn't you say something? Jenna's voice cracked. I thought she'd change her mind. I thought she'd realize how good you were. I didn't want to ruin your relationship if I was wrong. I said, you were right. And now I know. I hung up. I sat on Ryan's couch and stared at the wall. Emma had been planning her exit for months. I'd been planning a proposal. We were living in 2 completely different relationships. My mom called at 9 a.m. She'd heard from my aunt, who'd heard from a cousin, who'd been at the party. My mom said, are you okay? I said, I'm fine. She said, do you want to come home for a few days? I said, maybe next weekend. She didn't push. She just said, I'm proud of you for walking away. That sentence broke something in me. I started crying for the first time since the rooftop. Not loud, just quiet tears running down my face while my mom stayed on the line and didn't say anything. She just let me breathe. When I stopped, she said, she didn't deserve you. And now everyone knows it. She was right. Because by Sunday afternoon, the story had spread. Not because I told anyone. Because Emma's cousin Maya posted about it. Maya didn't name names. She didn't post photos. But she wrote, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And when someone walks away with dignity, respect it. What I saw last night was a masterclass in self-respect. The post got 200 likes in 3 hours. People started commenting. What happened? Spill the tea. I need context. Maya didn't respond. But Emma's friends did. Someone named Becca commented, people need to hear both sides before they judge. Someone named Tyler replied, there's no other side. We were all there. We all heard what she said. The comment thread exploded. I didn't read it. Ryan showed me screenshots. I told him to stop. I didn't need to see Emma's reputation unravel in real time. I just needed her gone. Update 2. By Monday morning, the story had reached Emma's family. Her mother called me at 10 a.m. I was at work, sitting in a conference room pretending to focus on sprint planning. I stepped into the hallway and answered. Mrs. Chin's voice was tight. Alex, I heard what happened. I said, I'm sorry you had to find out that way. She said, don't apologize. Emma should be apologizing. What she said was cruel and unacceptable. I didn't expect that. I thought she'd defend her daughter. I thought she'd ask me to give Emma another chance. Instead, she said, I raised her better than that. I don't know what's gotten into her, but you didn't deserve to be humiliated in public. I felt my throat tighten. Thank you for saying that. She paused. Do you still have the ring? I said yes. She said, good. Return it. Get your money back. Don't let her take anything else from you. We talked for 5 more minutes. She apologized 3 more times. When we hung up, I sat in that hallway and felt something I hadn't felt since Saturday night. Validation. Emma's mother wasn't blind. Emma's friends weren't blind. The 50 people on that rooftop weren't blind. They all saw exactly what I saw. A woman who treated her boyfriend like a placeholder. Tuesday afternoon, Emma showed up at my office. Security called me at 2:30 p.m. and said someone was in the lobby asking for me. I went downstairs. Emma was standing near the elevators, wearing sunglasses indoors, holding a coffee cup like a shield. I walked up to her. She pulled off the sunglasses. Her eyes were red. She said, can we talk? I said no. She blinked. Alex, please. Just 5 minutes. I said, you had 2 years and 3 months. You used your time. We're done. She reached for my arm. I stepped back. She said, I made a mistake. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. I said, you weren't drunk. You had half a glass of champagne. And you meant every word. You just didn't think I'd call you on it. Her face crumpled. Everyone hates me now. My own mother is disappointed in me. Maya won't talk to me. I lost friends over this. I said, that's not my problem. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. You're really going to throw away 2 years over one stupid comment? I said, you already threw it away. I just made it visible. I turned and walked back to the elevators. She didn't follow. Security called me 10 minutes later and said she'd left the building. I blocked her on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and every other platform where she could reach me. Wednesday, Jenna called again. She said, Emma's telling people you overreacted. She's saying you humiliated her on purpose. I said, I placed a ring box on a table and left. She humiliated herself. Jenna sighed. I know, but she's spinning it like you were trying to punish her in front of everyone. I said, I wasn't trying to punish her. I was trying to leave with the truth visible. If that punished her, it's because the truth hurt. Jenna paused. You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't even be telling you this. I said, it's fine. I'd rather know what she's saying. Jenna said, for what it's worth, no one's buying it. Everyone who was there knows exactly what happened. Thursday, my lease was up for renewal. Emma and I had signed a 1-year lease in August. It expired at the end of October. I called the landlord and told him I wouldn't be renewing. He asked if Emma would stay. I said, you'll have to ask her. He called me back 2 hours later. She can't afford it alone. She's asking if you'll cover your half until she finds a roommate. I said, no, I'm off the lease in 3 weeks. What she does after that isn't my problem. He sighed. Fair enough. I'll let her know. Emma texted me from a new number that night. You're really going to leave me with no place to live? I didn't respond. I blocked the number. Friday, I returned the ring. The jeweler didn't ask questions. He just processed the return, handed me a check for $7,600, and said, I'm sorry it didn't work out. I said, I'm not. And I meant it. Because walking out of that jewelry store with a check instead of a ring felt like freedom. Update 3. The following week, Emma's smear campaign escalated. She posted a vague story on Instagram. No names. No details. Just, it's wild how people who claim to love you will humiliate you the second you make a mistake. Guess loyalty means nothing anymore. Her friends liked it. Strangers commented, you deserve better. He sounds toxic. Move on, queen. I didn't respond. I didn't post. I didn't defend myself. Because the people who mattered already knew the truth. Ryan told me to let it go. She's grasping. She knows she messed up, and now she's trying to rewrite history. Don't give her the oxygen. He was right. So I focused on work. I focused on finding a new apartment. I focused on anything that wasn't Emma. But Emma wasn't done. On Tuesday, she called my mother. My mom called me immediately after and said, Emma just told me you blindsided her with a breakup and left her emotionally devastated. I said, that's not what happened. My mom said, I know. I told her if she ever contacts me again, I'll block her number. I felt a weight lift. My mom had my back. My friends had my back. Even Emma's own mother had my back. The only people who believed Emma's version were people who didn't know the full story. Wednesday, Emma texted me from yet another new number. I know you hate me, but can we at least talk about splitting the furniture and stuff? I responded for the first time in 2 weeks. Keep it all. I don't want anything that reminds me of you. She replied, Alex, please. I'm sorry. I know I messed up. Can we just meet for coffee and talk like adults? I said no. Move out by October 31st. After that, it's not my problem. She sent 3 more messages. I didn't read them. I blocked the number. Thursday, Maya reached out. She said, I need to tell you something. Emma's been telling people you proposed at my party to embarrass her. She's saying you planned the whole thing to make her look bad. I felt my blood pressure spike. I didn't propose. I didn't even pull the ring out until after she said what she said. Maya said, I know. I was standing right there. But she's rewriting the story to make herself the victim. I said, let her. Anyone who believes that wasn't paying attention. Maya said, I'm done with her. I've known Emma my whole life. But what she did to you was unforgivable. I'm sorry I asked that question. I had no idea she felt that way. I said, it's not your fault. You didn't make her say it. She chose her words. Friday, I signed a lease on a studio in Queens. Smaller than the Astoria apartment. Cheaper. Quieter. I moved in the following Saturday with help from Ryan and 2 other friends. We hauled boxes, assembled furniture, ordered pizza. By 9 p.m., I was unpacked and alone in my new place. It felt like starting over. It felt like freedom. By mid-November, Emma's social circle had fractured. Jenna stopped talking to her. Maya stopped talking to her. 3 mutual friends unfollowed her on social media. The people who'd witnessed the rooftop moment didn't forget. And the people who heard the story secondhand didn't need details to understand what happened. Emma posted less. Her Instagram went quiet. The confident, social butterfly version of her disappeared. She stopped going to events. She stopped tagging people. She stopped performing. I heard through Ryan that she'd moved back in with her parents. The Astoria apartment was too expensive. She couldn't find a roommate willing to deal with the fallout. So she packed up, gave notice, and went home. Her job took a hit too. She worked in event planning, and her reputation mattered. Word traveled fast in that industry. By December, she'd left her company. I don't know if she quit or got pushed out. I didn't ask. I didn't care. What I did care about was moving forward. I started therapy in November. My therapist asked me why I'd stayed with Emma for so long when the red flags were visible. I said, I wanted to believe she'd change. My therapist said, people don't change unless they want to. And she didn't want to. That hit me hard. Because it was true. Emma didn't want to marry me. She didn't want a future with me. She just wanted the comfort of having someone around until something better came along. I wasn't her partner. I was her safety net. In December, I started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee dates and dinners with people I met through apps. It felt strange at first, but it also felt honest. No one was pretending. No one was hiding. No one was killing time. One woman I met, Lauren, asked me on our second date why my last relationship ended. I told her the short version. She said, that's brutal. How are you doing now? I said, better. I'd rather know the truth than live in a lie. She smiled. That's a good way to look at it. We didn't work out long term, but she restored something I thought Emma had broken. The belief that honest people still existed. It's been 7 months since the rooftop party. I'm 29 now. I live alone in Queens. I have a new gym routine. I've reconnected with friends I'd neglected during my time with Emma. I've traveled twice, once to Colorado, once to Portugal. I've spent money on experiences instead of trying to prove my worth to someone who didn't value it. The ring money, all $7,600, went into a travel fund. I'm planning a trip to Iceland next spring. Emma used to say Iceland was boring. She said she'd never waste vacation time on a cold rock in the middle of nowhere. I'm going anyway. Because it's not her trip. It's mine. I haven't heard from Emma in 5 months. The last message she sent was in January. I hope you're doing okay. I think about you sometimes. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. Maya reached out in March to apologize again. I told her she didn't need to keep apologizing. She said, I just feel awful. That question ruined everything. I said, that question saved me 2 more years of wasted time. I should be thanking you. She laughed. It felt good to laugh about it. Looking back, the rooftop wasn't the worst moment of my life. It was the clearest. Because in 90 seconds, Emma showed me exactly who she was. And in 90 seconds, I showed her exactly who I was. She was someone who treated love like a joke. I was someone who walked away when the punchline was me. The engagement ring I almost gave her is gone. The apartment we shared is gone. The future I imagined is gone. And I'm not sad about any of it. Because what I have now is something I didn't have on that rooftop. Clarity. Boundaries. Self-respect. Some people spend years trying to fix relationships that were never meant to last. I spent 90 seconds ending one. And every day since, I've been grateful I didn't wait any longer. Emma taught me something valuable. She taught me that silence is louder than shouting. That walking away is stronger than staying. That the right person won't make you feel like you're killing time. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. I just don't think about her anymore. And that, more than anything, feels like freedom.